all right. Peace, and Black African power. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV with Kofi Piesie Research Team. I am Kofi Piesie. Again,
Welcome to Kofi Piesie TV.
So please subscribe to the channel now.
so you heard my family. So please go subscribe to the channel. If you hadn't subscribed to the channel, please like and share the show. Please like and share the show. I guarantee this is going to be another great interview by our lovely sister. Before we get into the show, if Travis have anything, and we'll introduce her. But before let's go ahead. Before we introduce her, let's my good brother Travis introduce himself, and then what I like to say, I like to pay a few bills, and then we'll get into the interview.
All right, what's going on to the chat and everybody that'll watch later on? I'm Travis McCray, a member of Kofi Piesie Research Team, and this is my auntie. We have a opportunity again to interview and get some insight on some stuff a lot of us ain't able to do. So make sure y'all like and share the show, and hopefully y'all enjoy it.
All right. Well, let me go back here real quick. I don't have to I'll just talk about it. Go get all our various publications that we have. Go get Travis McCray's book. Travis, get the name of your book again for people that may not know the name of your book. You on mute, Travis.
The religious beliefs revisited, Tempest edition. That's it.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up on here. Let me see.
Pop. That boy Kofi got drops now every week, man. You know what I'm saying? He's showing out new technology.
Yeah, but this is his book right here on the screen. Go get his copy. Religious Belief Revisited Tempest edition. If you don't have Xi'an's book, What SARS-CoV Taught You, please go get my good brother Inihered Xi'an book, What SARS-CoV Taught Me. If you don't have our latest collective work by Kofi Piesie Research Team, please go get that. Go get Spear Masters, a historical survey in the minds of African warrior scholars, and be on the lookout. We have volume 4 coming soon, very, very, very soon. If you don't have my book, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo, please go get my book, Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. Coloring book. You know, we have an institution called Spear Masters Institution where we're trying to venture off and do things for the kids. So this is our volume 1 of the Spear Masters Institution Coloring Book 1. There's 3 characters in the book, and as your kids learn those characters in the book, teaches those kids about those safari animals in Africa. Also, we have a comprehension book that's connected to the Spear Masters Institution for we trying to raise the comprehension level of our children. But also, I mean, it's a great book for the adults as well. You know, you read some material and then you're quizzed at the back of the book. Again, it's just trying to raise the comprehension level of our children, and it is also for the adults because we know some adults that read and can't comprehend the things that they are actually reading. So this book will definitely help out, you know, and it was contributed not only by Kofi Piesie Research Team and Mossy Warrior Clan, but we ventured out and got other people who wanted to write. So now these people who are aspiring to write or scared to write, we have them in a publication as well. So now they are also connected to a publication. So we're also trying to give back and show people that, you know, it's easy to write books because in this day and time, we need more people that look like us to write and tell our own stories from our own perspective and from our own worldview. Also, go get Xi'an's latest work as well, The Coming of Islam in Bilal al-Sudan. So go get that. It's a nice piece of work. So go get his publication as well. And I don't have my other one on the screen, but my latest book that just came out a couple of weeks ago, and I appreciate everybody that's been purchasing the book. I appreciate it. It is called Mandingo Theory, the castrations of Africans in the sixth grade conceptualization. I stand by this piece of work. If you purchase this book and you don't like it, I guarantee to get your money back. But I guarantee once you get involved into the book and reading, you're not going to want to put the book down. I talk about a lot of things that we kind of gloss over, that we don't talk about, especially the enslaver's wife and the things that the enslaver wife did or on the plantation. But again, I stand by this work, and I've been getting some great feedback from the people who publish and read it. It's not going over your head. It's an easy read. And again, appreciate those who've been ordering the book online and those who've been hitting me up and my DMs and getting the books through the DM. I appreciate y'all. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into this interview that I'm excited to have. Glad to have this sister back on the panel. Again, she was with us about 9 months ago. A great interview that we had with the sister. She dropped a lot of information, you know what I'm saying, a knowledge. I learned a lot of things by speaking, you know what I'm saying, and interviewing this great sister of ours. So without further ado, I would like for you to introduce yourself to people that may not know who you are and run down some of your credentials, because some of your credentials are very important, because now we in an atmosphere where, people want to know your credentials. People want to know if you're an expert or not, so introduce yourself and run down some of your credentials and run down some of the things that you've been doing in the past. Your mic is muted. Your Hold on, let me.
Okay, I think I did it.
All right.
Good afternoon. I'm Velicia Moore. Good evening. Native Houstonian. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Prairie View-A&M University, and candidacy just means that I've completed my coursework, I passed my comps, and I'm ABD. I'm all but dissertation, which means I need to be, once I write and defend, I'll be a doctor. So I'm excited about that. My doctorate is in educational leadership. I focus primarily on the global knowledge economy. And what that means is I basically look at the commodification of education, or education as a commodity, the way that it is bought, sold, packaged, marketed, traded on the open markets, the same way we trade oil, gas, cotton. That's how education is mass produced and marketed and traded. And so that's what I look at. I look at it specifically in West Africa, and primarily the HBCU footprint or impact therein. I started college at the University of Maryland's European Division, a very small campus in Europe. A long time ago. And then I did finished an associate's degree at Central Texas College in general studies. Then I completed a bachelor's in political science with a minor in psychology at Tarleton State University. Did my master's at Prairie View-A&M University in sociology, where I looked at intersectionality. I looked at the intersection of education and ethnicity. And now I was awarded a full ride to Texas A&M, and I spent about 3 years there pursuing my doctorate in sociology. Life happened, many life changes, and I left there and decided I didn't want to be a sociologist, and so I went to ed leadership. Before that, though, I was able to, I went to Ghana for the first time while I was at Texas A&M, and I spent about 3 months in West Africa with this program called Operation Crossroads Africa. I was just telling Chavis about. It's an amazing organization. They're based out of New York. You spend a little time on Long Island training, and then you go to all parts of Africa. And after that, I was selected by the Ford Foundation to work on a social demography seminar in Xi'an, China. Unfortunately, about 2 days after landing, the largest earthquake to ever hit China struck. And I always joke with my cohort that was there with me, because we have these memes in the Black community about, when Black people see somebody running, we get up and run, and then we figure out why we're running later. Well, when the earthquake hit, we were on the 3rd floor of this academic building at Northwestern University in Xi'an, and these 2 girls got up and just left. And then a third young lady, Asian lady, got up and she left, and they all left their purses and backpacks. And women, we don't just leave our purses, and they were going pretty expeditiously. So, but after the third one got up, I was like, well, let me just go see what's going on. So I got up, and by the time I got to the landing, the whole building was kind of swaying back and forth. So I was like, oh, that's what's going on. And by the time we got downstairs, I found out that they were Japanese students in China, and they felt the first tremors because they're so accustomed to having earthquakes in Japan. I was like, why wouldn't they just say, hey, y'all might want to come on, or y'all we get let's nothing, just get up and so that was my time in China, and then I went to I moved to Abu Dhabi after that, and I lived for 3 years working and teaching in the United Arab Emirates, and that was an amazing experience. And being so close to Africa, that's when I really started to get to the continent almost every other month. I went to Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Egypt. I went to Jordan, some Arab nations. I went to Japan. But back in the States, prior to leaving, I worked at the University of Houston. I was a writing lab instructor, and I worked at Lone Star College. I worked at their Discovery College for the summer program. And that's pretty much who I am. And I'm a mom of 7.
Okay, man. So there you have it. There you have it. And we're gonna get, you mentioned Ghana, so we're gonna talk. You just recently went to Ghana.
Yes.
And so we're gonna talk about your trip and your experience over there for the second time, and talk about some of the things that that y'all doing and the work that y'all doing over there. But before we get into that, like I said, I wanted to read something from Mary's book. She's not a young lady, she's a middle-aged woman, um, who we interviewed a while back here, and also possibly maybe partnering with us. We spoke on that a few times, where some issues was going on in the community at one time, but that's irrelevant. But I wanted to read something from a book. This is called "Moving to Ghana." This is a great thing, whether if you're moving or even if you're going to try to go visit. I think this is a must read. It's a small book, so it wouldn't, you can probably read this book within, in one day, if you got some time, a few hours to read. But I just want to talk about Ghana because at the same time, I want to educate people about Ghana before we get started, because there is, um, uh, a misconception about Africa in general and places in Ghana. And matter of fact, I was just speaking to a lady that worked that was finna visit Kenya, but they changed their plans from going to Kenya to Nigeria. So I was speaking to them about Nigeria, Ghana, and even Kenya, and clearing up some of the misconceptions. So before we get started, I want to kind of clear up some misconceptions about Ghana or in Africa in general, because a lot of us is miseducated about Africa and the countries that's in Africa. Again, Africa is a continent, and it's not a country. It's a continent that consists of 53, 54 countries. So I'm gonna read something real quick from this book, and then we'll get into the interview. I'll read something from page 12 and 13. Again, it's like a little small book, so this ain't gonna take but a minute. So she says, Ghana. Ghana, often referred to Africa Rising Star, African Gateway Country, or Africa for beginners, is located in West Africa, and it lies sandwiched between Togo and the east of Ivory Coast to the west, and Burkina Faso, its northern neighbors. Her 357 miles, 540 kilometers, southern castle-like along the Gulf of Guiana is washed by the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Slightly smaller than a state of Oregon, the land of Ghana is a varied of its beautiful ranges from stunning beaches with swinging coconuts, palm trees, to lush, verdant rainforests, speculated waterfalls, lakes, mountains, hills, valleys, and grasslands, the soil of rich and fertility, allowing the abundance of growing of agriculture, importing foods and cash crops, including coconuts, which accounts from Ghana's position as the world's second largest producer of cocoa. Below the surface to rich to the wealth of minerals, including gold, uh, crude oil, which was recently discovered offshore. The weather of Ghana is typically tropical, and that it means warm temperature years round between 21 to 70 to 104 Fahrenheit, with the two seasons, rainy and dry. There is actually two rainy seasons, March through July and September through October. The dry season is from November to March and can be quite hot and dusty during the days, are very cool in the evening between the late December and early February. Hot, dry winds originated from the Sahara Desert to the north, causing a dramatic drop of humidity resulting in the dry conditions. This period of time is known as Harmattan. So I just wanted to just, and she goes on some more and talk about Ghana, but I just wanted, to introduce y'all to Ghana for people that may not know about Ghana and some of the things that Ghana has to offer. Ghana offers a lot of job opportunities for people who's offshore. So I know quite a few people who actually goes offshore and goes to Ghana when we talk about the oil. Some of our favorite soda pops when we talk about cocoa. You know what I'm saying? So it gives us Ghana gives us a lot of things. So I just wanted to introduce y'all to Ghana and clear up some of the things. And it has beautiful rainforests. And this sister can attest for some of these things that I talk about: hills and valleys and beautiful waterfalls and rainforests and Ghana having beaches and etc. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm a me and brother Chavis are gonna ask our dear sister, some questions. So, and it's gonna be educational for us. It's gonna be educational for y'all that's listening in the chat. Um, and maybe she can be able to clear up some more misconceptions that people may have about Ghana or the people that lives in Ghana. So, my first question is, and this is for me. This is a question for me because I'm planning to go to Africa, December 2023. I'm going to Gambia, and I'm already in the process of trying to work some things out to get over there. The stuff that I need to actually get over there. So, and I want to talk about that too. So, for more people like me that's inquiring to go, maybe you can fill us in on what we need and what we need to do and what where we need, the where we need to go to get where we need to get. So my first question is it expensive to go to Ghana, and how many hours is the flight? I always talk to people and they tell me, man, how long that flight is. I went to Hawaii last year and I wanted to get a parachute and jump off the flight because it was a 10-hour flight. This was to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And man, that was rough. That was rough for me. So it's a two-part question. So,
Yeah.
the first again, is it expensive to go to Ghana? And how many hours is that flight?
Well, for me, I've never really just woke up one day and said I'm going. So I plan far in advance. So typically this trip I started paying a year ago on it. The tickets, maybe 700. You can get a decent ticket for seven something. I've flown Emirates, which is one of the best airlines in the world, for around that same price. So if you buy it the right time of year, you can get on a really comfortable airline for a really Emirates economy class feels like some people's business class. It's really comfortable. It's it's a great flight. They just started direct flights from New York I want to say this year. Prior to this, you always had to go through London or Abu Dhabi, which was problematic for me because these layovers are strategic. Airlines make sure that they bring you through their port and you pour into. And if you're trying to build up an African nation, why should I have to go through the colonizer and pay them a little bit and then go to it? It's so I love that Ethiopian Airlines started direct flights. I know American is doing direct flights they only fly out of JFK. That's the biggest problem for me because I'm used to going out of Houston International, but it's fine. It was worth it. This is my first time going up to JFK and taking that direct flight. 11 hours is not terrible. That China, I left for China. It was my birthday. So I left on May 9th, flew for almost 20 hours and got there. And it was just now May 9th again. So I had two birthdays that year. But so this 11 hours is nothing compared to that. So I did want to really quickly piggyback off what you said about cocoa. The cocoa industry in Ghana is so huge. People really underestimate the impact. 90% of the world's cocoa comes from Ghana. And so there's a lot of publicity right now about what's going on in Switzerland. So the Swiss chocolate is the finest chocolate in the world. But they have not to my knowledge, one single cocoa tree in Switzerland. They get all of their cocoa from Ghana. And so You never hear, any kind of thanks or, and the industry has been really exploited. So one of the things they're doing in Ghana right now is trying to really address the fact that they have so many raw materials, but no industry, like no chocolate. There's a few fledgling chocolate companies now, but there's no reason that you provide the entire world with cocoa and you don't make any chocolate. And every piece of chocolate comes from cocoa. So they're really looking into those things, and I'm excited about that. Same thing with coffee. When I was on this trip, I visited this amazing coffee shop, and there's some indigenous coffees to the west that are different. East Africa grows a lot of Arabica. Robusta is native to Ghana and West Africa, and it's gotten a bad rap for a lot of years. But this coffee thing, there's so many industries that are really really coming up. But to get back to your question, to me, 7 something is a fair price. And the second part was, what was the second part? What do you need?
No. That was that. No, I was just that was
How long? I think. So how
yeah,
long?
yeah. But she
Oh,
answered
Yeah.
that. She answered that. She said it was 11-hour
yeah.
flight. Yeah, and I just wanted to know that, before so I can prepare myself because, like I said, when I went to Hawaii, we wasn't prepared. Like my wife,
For
she
that
wasn't prepared, and man, I was miserable. I was miserable the whole time. It was a 10-hour flight, and I was miserable all the way there. I was uncomfortable. I
really?
was yes, I was ready to get off the plane. Like if they said, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Piesie, sir, we have a parachute. We can we can let you off at the next thing you could jump out. I probably would have jumped out of the plane.
Well, I
It
know
was,
Emirates still does unlimited drinks, so the libations don't stop flowing and
oh,
ride a lot more,
Unlimited drinks, you say?
more comfortable when the libations don't stop flowing.
Oh,
But that's what I might have. I don't
feeling
drink, but
right there.
I definitely probably would have to drink. I definitely probably would have to drink once I
Yeah.
get ready to go. But I'm excited about going over there, man. I'm really
So you
excited
going to
about.
the Gambia?
Yeah, I'm going to Banjul, Gambia. I'm gonna go there first, but my next stop is gonna be is Ghana, and because I have roots in Ghana, as you know, I choose the name Kofi Piesie, or what I say, it's pronounced Piesie, but I've been mispronouncing it for so long, and everybody just say pie
It's
side. So
easier.
You
Yeah.
got everybody saying pie side now, man. I'm
but it's,
coping pie side.
So you did
yeah,
your
but
DNA?
but it's Pichet, and I did my DNA test, and
Ah,
my mother's my mother's side of the family migrated. They migrated from Uganda
uh-huh.
into Ghana, and they've been there for centuries in Ghana. And my father, they migrated from Kenya into Nigeria, and they've been there for centuries. So after Gambia, I'm going to Ghana, and then after Ghana, I'm going to Nigeria to visit
Mhm.
Nigeria. So my plans for next year, where 2023, I'm gonna go to Gambia, and then 2024 I'm gonna do Nigeria and Ghana. So
Yeah. And
um,
Ghana just started this year. They started in the visa upon arrival. And so I'm excited that a lot of these nations are getting into that. Back in the day, you had to go to the embassy in your area and get your visa prior to leaving. So it's really, really convenient now that more African nations are letting you get your visa once you arrive. I know, was it Tanzania? They had some really strict regulations about the bills. They would only take like 50s or 20s, and it couldn't be crinkled or it couldn't be older than a certain. I was like, it was real deep on there. So Ghana's doing some good things in that regard. I'm excited about your Gambia trip though. That's gonna be interesting.
yeah, I'm going over there. I'm reason why we going to Sean supposed to be going with me. Hopefully we can try to do something to try to get Chavis and some of the other brothers over there as well, because though we have a scholarship where we fund kids to go to school, over
What?
there. Yes, and then we have 2 of our volumes over there as well. And Brother Ben, who's the founder of the Mossy Warrior Clan, which me and Sean is also a member of, he has a scholarship as well, the Black Panther scholarship. and he has one of his books in their library as well. His African Spirituality of Religion book. He just left from over there, and he told us how how beautiful it is over there, and how they really appreciate what we did for the school, and and they ready for it. Which I got a real good relationship with Fatu, who is the CEO and the principal of the school, Alu, what I'm saying, and some of the other people who work for the schools. I kind of have a great rapport with them, and they've been ready for us to come. So,
Yeah.
that's gonna be our first stop over there. I want to go over there and work with them, what I'm saying, and what I'm saying, work with the students and see what else we able to be able to do and partner with. And they actually gave us the idea for our online apparel company was the Mboka Family Connect apparel that we have. We have our online apparel company. Mboka is a Wolof word that means family. So they always will call us Mboka, 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 Mboka. So, so.
That's powerful. My
Mhm.
first time back in '08 when I was in Ghana, I was teaching in the village, and it was during the final exam time for the older kids. So we were working with third grade, and the sixth and seventh and eighth graders all needed to take their test. You have to take a test to get into high school. And so all the older siblings would come and get the pencil from the younger siblings. And it was problematic because we were there trying to teach for like months, and they had no pencil. It was one family pencil because the cost of living is, compared to the average wage. A lot of the village where we worked were mostly subsistence farmers. So it was maybe 76 cents a day that they would earn as a family. And pencils still cost what a pencil costs. And that's the thing that blew my mind. I think I wasn't expecting that. I understood that they didn't make a lot of money, but I didn't know that a loaf of bread was still $1.25. If you're making 76 cents a day and a loaf of bread is still $1.25, like that math is not, it's not math. And so pencils were a hot commodity. So I came back and I did a presentation about it, and and my church um, came up with one of the ladies was a professor at Prairie View, and she ended up creating a vocational school in the village. Because another issue that I had was only the World Vision was there sponsoring the village, but only half the kids went to school. And I was like, well, if you have sponsorship, why are you not going to school? And one of the little boys was like, Miss, if I go to your school and finish, I'll be a farmer. If I don't go to your school, I'll be a farmer. So why would I go to your why would I go to your school? And I didn't have an answer for that. That made sense. So I talked to did the presentation. She created a vocational school. She bought about maybe 5 or 10 these pedal sewing machines, and she created, it's called Ed's World Inc. It's an NGO that she has in America. She just created a branch there in Ghana. So if you finish school, you can go to the vocational school and you can make uniforms for family members. You can make outfits to sell in the markets. So it was an incentive. We had to build something into the school system to make it worth going to for the kids. But this trip, we took about 3,400 pencils. And after we sent the last shipment of pencils, you would think it was Christmas Day. I mean, the pictures we got back, just one yellow pencil. And then I remember that same year I had to take my daughter school shopping, and we're in Walmart, and she's like, oh, I need Bratz and I need Barbie backpack. And I'm like, those kids, they just wanted one pencil. That's all they, but it's life changing. Something as simple as a pencil can change somebody's life. So this time we were able to take over 3,000 pencils. Um, and it felt great knowing even the books. We took books the first time I went. Am I getting ahead of myself? I tend to do that.
Yeah, we go. We'll get into that. But man, that's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. My second question was, hold on, let me pull it back up. And it's, and like I'm saying, because these questions are questions, that I want to know, but and for people that may, you know, need to know some of these things because they may be wanting to acquire to get over there, but they just may not know what to do to actually get over there. So in order to visit Gambia, what will you need? And it's just don't have to go for for Ghana. I'm saying Gambia because we're saying what we
Mhm.
talked about Gambia, but Ghana, this could be for any country in Africa. What would we need?
So I know that they recently, this not this year, but I know recently they started where the yellow fever shot is a lifetime shot.
Hmm.
Back in the day, you used to have to get one every time you went, and so I'm excited about that. Not having to ever get that again. The malaria pills, I kind of don't do it anymore. I don't recommend it for anybody. I think this is my third or fourth time in Ghana, and I feel like I'm good. So I don't do the malaria pills anymore. But it's not a big deal. They're super. I've not seen a lot of people who had reactions to them. They're not very expensive. Um, if you're going to be in the bush, they do recommend a mosquito net, obviously. Um, Other than that, gosh, the CDC has a list of recommended. That recommended list is like 10 shots. I don't know anybody who's ever gotten all those shots. Um, but yellow fever, yes, that's required. Malaria, technically. And now I don't even know if they're requiring COVID. I don't know. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I
Are
don't think they are. I know, like you were saying, I know I have to get the malaria shot. The malaria. Well, I think they said the shot. You said you can get the pills.
Yeah.
The pills, and then the
Yellow fever.
yellow
Yeah.
the yellow
That-
fever. I
That's,
know those
that's
are the
mandatory.
must. Yes, that's mandatory to get. But they were saying some other ones, but those are the ones that they named a few more, but those are the main two that you have to have. The other ones you really don't have to have. It's really up to you, which
Yeah.
is expensive, because a lot of those shots they're not going to cover
Yeah.
on your insurance. So
Right.
some of these things you will have to pay out of your pocket. So so I'm
And
just getting the malaria and the
yeah.
yellow fever,
Yeah. Some of
because
them are really rare too. They're hard to find. A lot of people on this trip said that their doctors were like, "We don't even stock that because
mhm.
I don't know when was the last time you heard of Black Plague, or I don't even know if there's a shot for that." But they had some like really rare shots that we haven't seen around in a while. So
Yep.
some
Mhm.
pharmacies just don't carry it.
Yep. So
So
it's
do you your background have to be clean? No warrants and all
Not
that
even,
stuff?
I've never. I think that's the passport part now. When
yes,
you
that's
might encounter something with the U.S. with passport, but nobody else is checking for that. Nobody else is. Not to my not in no.
Nobody else cares once you get your
Not a
background.
lot of people. Not a lot of countries are doing that. But getting the passport itself, that might be where you run into that.
so, so that's a must as well too. The shots, the passports, you have to get your passport. So
Yeah.
for people that may not know, what the passports look like, what are they running to get the passports?
Um,
And I know they probably different in different
yeah.
states.
There was a
Mhm.
backlog right after during COVID, like right before COVID and after it was taking 3, 5 people were having a hard time getting them back, even the rushed applications. Now, what is it like? Is it 160? What's the cost?
Yeah,
Um,
it's about that. It's about
yeah,
that much, between 150 to 160 for one.
but
So it's not expensive.
I had to get a new book. I ran out of pages, and the
Man,
guy, yeah, he
you
was amazing.
you
The guy.
stunned. You stunned me. You put the stun on us.
Nah, it's because when I lived overseas, every time I left Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they would stamp it. I was like, can you just nah? They would
Yeah,
stamp it a lot. So and
yeah.
then yeah, some of those places, Kenya has a huge. Their stamp is big.
Mhm.
Um, Trinidad, Egypt has the stamp took up a whole page. So some of them just they set me up like that.
Wow.
But
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
um,
So but go ahead. Go ahead.
no,
No, I was just going, just to, and just to reiterate, what we was talking about for the family in the audience. So passport, your shots, the malaria,
visas,
yellow, your visa.
yeah,
So those are some important things to get. Like I'm saying, they may ask they may name the whole bunch of other shots that you may have, but you good with just the malaria and the yellow fever.
yes,
And just to reiterate, if you try to go get those other shots, if you have insurance, your insurance is not going to cover those other shots, and those shots can get up to, if you're trying to get every last one that they asking, man, you can end up with spending $1,600 out of your pocket, $1,700. That's just for shots now. you
yeah,
know so so there, you had it. So the British colonized Ghana, and
mm,
from 1874 to 1957. So are there a lot of English speaking Africans there? And I'm asking too, because I know, and is that the state sponsored
yeah,
language in Ghana is English? Because when we go all over places, or I talk or I speak to people will ask me why Africans are speaking French in Senegal and Gambia, why Africans
Cameroon.
are speaking English and, you know, in Ghana, why Africans are speaking Portugal in the Congo area, you know, or why Africans in East Africa are speaking Arabic, you know, in certain places. So, you know, are there a lot of English speaking
Oh yeah, yeah.
Africans?
Even in the bush, it's the national language, so they're taught in their native, dialect. But they also almost everybody pretty much speaks English. It's the national language.
Mhm. That's good, man. Cause that's real good because when I go to not, I mean Gambia, um, I don't have to figure out how to speak French because their state language is French. So there's a lot of French speaking Africans out there, and I need to get back on my Wolof thing. I was on my Wolof thing at one point, but I done kind of got off, you know, my Wolof, but I probably get back on my Wolof because I still got a whole year before
Yeah.
I take my trip to Gambia, so I can kind of freshen up and learn some more, want to learn some more words and so I can maybe understand them that way because I know I'm not going to understand French. You know, speaking French. So, you know, so those who that may want to go to Gambia, you may not have to get a interpreter because they speaking English. But we talked about this one time before about Ghana when I talked about the culture and talked about their traditions, ikumi. So you know, and you know, with that, you know, you got the Ashanti, the Fanti, the the Hassa, the Akan, the Gurma, the Dagbana, the Dagmi, and other ethnic groups that are in Africa. So did you meet any of those ethnic groups that I just mentioned? And if you did, how was your encounter with some of those people? Because I also want to clear up the myth. If you know, the myth is that they don't like African Americans, you know. So you know, so with your encounter with some of them, was they great? Because you know, in the book it tells, she said, so she's been there, this is her hometown. She says that um you know that the Ghanese people are world owned and their hospitality, you know, for their
Mhm.
hospitality. I mean, their hospitality and friendship to other ones. So did you receive that hospitality
Yeah, it's
and
it's
friendship?
embedded in their culture. I don't care how little a person has, they're gonna open up their home to you, they're gonna welcome you, they're gonna offer you something. I mean, I've not had a bad what I would consider a bad experience. Not, and this is my third or fourth time being there. The Ashanti, of course, are the largest, I think, ethnic group in Ghana. I know
Mm-hmm.
they're almost half. And so everywhere you go, you're going to see Ashanti. And they're extremely proud, very prideful people, but they're also, I guess historically, they're known for being warriors, for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Nana Ya Asante. If you guys haven't, I think there's a video out about her, this Queen Mother in the Golden Stool, and this story. And we talked about it a bit at University of Ghana in Accra. It's just a really great story, especially as we're talking about the Woman Queen came out while I was there. So there was this whole narrative about Black women leaders and historically, especially on the west coast of Africa, and Nana Ya Asante, being this historical figure who, was real and who she was about that action. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the Ashanti people really take pride in it don't take much, but so, and the Eve, of course, I got to visit a village where they create these adinkra cloth. So they're
Mhm.
they're famous for their weaving. I think they're known for creating the kente cloth as
Yes,
well.
yes, 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 ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I talk about that. Woo, some years ago, I got a whole presentation on clothing in Africa, and
Yeah,
you know, I talk about, you know, specifically in Ghana with the kente cloth and
yeah,
the Dinkra symbols and
yes.
so
I'm a
forth.
huge fan of the adinkra.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
am. So I should have wore my shirt. We got a shirt within a Dinkra symbol. I can't remember which one.
Hmm.
Um dang, I can't remember which one. It's not my favorite one, but I like the message behind the symbol and the symbolism behind it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the name of that Adinkra symbol, but it's on our
Is it when
apparel.
I went to the village? They have these stamps, and you can kind of pick which ones you wanted. So of course I chose Sankofa, which
Mhm.
means go back and fetch it, go back and get
Right.
the knowledge.
And
And then
that's
yeah,
one of my favorite ones. That's
no,
my
it's good.
favorite ones. Mhm.
And then the Jinya May, which is I think none greater than God.
Mhm.
So it was an amazing, just incredible time. Like you said, very hospitable people. Everybody was welcoming. They're going through a lot financially in that nation right now. The recession is really hitting hard, but the spirit of who they are is so strong that even financial hardships doesn't change who they are and how they are. So that was really that was nice to experience.
Mhm. Man, but yeah, that's all I have, man, and I'm gonna let
What is that? Oh, that's the machata. What is it? Machata?
I think that
nope.
was, I don't remember what it's
I think
called.
it's
That's
the
the game
machata.
that she brought this back for my kids
Yeah.
with the little marble
That's
look. I don't know exactly what it's. I forgot what it's called.
I think the
Look,
machata,
I
the
think that was
marbles every
boom,
four.
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, the kids. Yeah,
You got the sign. Dog and got to it, or they. I don't know what they did.
that was the Virginia May on the top of there.
mhm.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So go ahead, Travis. I'm gonna
I
turn
just
it
wanted
over
to
to you,
be like,
man. And
what else? As far as that village, do you remember what the village was called, or like can you
Where I
elaborate
was,
the
where
experience?
where I was teaching.
No, with the cloth that you went to. Got
Oh, I think I do. I can find the name of it. Gosh, and
you
it.
don't have it right now. It's okay, but I was
Yeah,
just curious if you did.
no, but I
The
have some.
audience, you know
I
what I'm
can't
saying?
think of the name of it,
But
but
tell
they
us about your
the
experience
yeah.
going to that village.
So they have the weaving looms there, and it's interesting because the men primarily make the cloth in that village. And to see them do it, they have this foot pedal, and so there's the what's the thing called shuttle that goes through back and forth to make the cloth, and there's this foot hand coordination. It's almost like a dance, and you got to be. You just watch it, and it's mesmerizing. Like the ability to that coordination in the mind and how that has to work to be operating this it's the and it's made out of wood. You can tell it's really an old piece of equipment, and there's like I have some pictures. There's 10 of them in the room, and there's making all this noise, and it almost sounds rhythmic. They all have this kind of a system, and they're so that's the one where they were making the cloth. And then you go to the I was telling you about the transportation, though. I wish that whoever the next president is, they would focus on infrastructure, because this country could be I know that they're pushing tourism. They really want to be the kind of the Jamaica of West Africa, and they could be. They've had the most geopolitically. They've had the most stability of any West African nation, almost any African nation. But so that makes it a really desirable location. It's a beautiful country. The people are amazing. When we went for the year of return, everywhere we went, we were at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial, and there were these random guys just sitting on a car having a smoke. They had nothing to do with the part where we were. They were just, in their neighborhood, and we're just walking around, and they're like, "Hey, we didn't." I'm thinking they want to ask for some money or something. They were like, "Nah, just welcome home." And I was like, "Wow," it was me and my sister and just experiences like that. I can't think of my neighborhood is cool, but nobody's really gonna go out of their way to tell you.
Yeah, a lot of niggas ain't you might tell me what's up. You know what
You're
I'm
not
saying?
gonna get that. You're not gonna get that.
And that's a beautiful thing about African culture, and that I took away a lot of things, but that right there, they real big on acknowledging one's existence. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, and we take that for granted, where we'll walk right past people that look just like us, and we you know
Yeah.
we
I'm
mhm,
guilty. I don't have. I did not
Yeah.
spoke walk move past you.
right.
Get out of it. Now you know what I'm saying. That I've been educated on. That's 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 foreign to be doing
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So I gotta embrace. You
Yeah.
know
So
that.
So it's very important in culture to acknowledge one's existence, man, and
That's
that
how we
goes
move
back to
to it.
character, building character. So and a lot of us, we just have to work on that. We just have to be more hospitality. We have to be greet one another. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledge. I see you. That's Another
Yeah.
reason where I think you got something that deals with Ubuntu too as well. Don't you have a company or a program that you deal
Yeah,
with?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the coffee. I was there. Ubuntu Coffee and Craft.
Mm-hmm.
I was importing East African coffees, and that's one of the things I was trying to do in Ghana was make some connects to get a West African bean, kind of coming since nobody's really on Ghanaian coffee in America. So that's what I did get to make some contacts and make some connects. And you're right, Ubuntu is just like it's definitely embedded in the culture and the society.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
also working on a Fulbright with a co-author, and we're trying to create this African American Studies curriculum for high school. And so I got to meet with a professor at the University of Ghana. He is, I think, he's an anthropologist. It's Dr. Wazi Apoa, and this is his book. And he has some great picks about.
Put that up in there close so everybody can see that. Get the
He's
title.
amazing. He's great. He was educated in the West, but he immediately went back to Ghana. He teaches at the University of Ghana. I think he's head of the department. He's just phenomenal. He gave me a tour of the anthropology department, archaeology. He has some great exhibits and the digs. They're still doing digs, still finding all kinds of artifacts. There's a big kind of conversation being had with the West. A lot of African nations are demanding their artwork back, and so he was asked to come into that conversation and sit with Great Britain and talk about how we can give these nations back their artwork that was stolen. A lot of it, and he just really put me up on this. I had no idea. The missionaries would come in and say, "Oh, well, this is." Demonic, or this is goes against God, so I'm gonna take this. And rather than destroying it, somehow it ends up in the British Museum. Somehow it's worth millions and millions of dollars, and it's sitting in New York somewhere. So African nations are demanding their artwork back. So, but the problem is in Ghana, there's this discussion about do we give it back to the because they took it from people in the villages, in the chief of the village, or so the nation is saying give it back, and then they're of course going to put it in the National Museum, but the villages are saying no, that came from this region. Go ahead and put it back in this region. So if we can, if they can iron that out, I think we'll be on the road to righting a lot of historical wrongs. One of the girls I met there too, her name is Morgan. She's the founder of a company called Girl Trek, and I got her shirt. So she is from, I want to say New Jersey, but she's been in Ghana for about 4 years. She lives there now. They're in Alabama right now, actually having a trek they call them. So what she does is called this revolutionary um, stress protest, and so she's all about fitness, well being, um, mental, physical, just emotionally taking better care of ourselves. And that was one of the reasons she ended up relocating to Ghana. So she started about 10 years ago, and she now has like 94 employees. And she's a young lady, so she's doing amazing things in Ghana. And then my coworker I work at a new campus this year here in Houston, and one of my coworkers has an all organic clothing brand, and he gave me about 10 shirts to take to. I'm gonna have to share my screen in a minute. He gave me about 10 shirts to take to Ghana and just give out. He wanted his product out. He wanted it in Africa. So he has a sustainable clothing brand, 100% eco-friendly, and it's called T-Soul. And I bought some of my Christmas gifts for my kids through his clothing brand. So I was able to take these out, and I got some great pics around the country with people just wearing his clothes. So and then of course we did the library project. We worked on some of the wells. We built wells years ago and hadn't really maintained them in a way that we should. So we got some wells operational. We partnered with a girls' school. We did a lot of things. We really kind of got all over the country and really did some good works. By far, for me, the library project was the most important. And I think, am I in your area, Chavis, or am I?
Oh, we getting that. I'm going to ask you, what was the current? What was the purpose of your current trip?
Yeah, so that was we did, like I said, I worked with my coworker getting his clothing brand out there, met with Girl Trek, but the number one thing that I wanted to do was to get the library back up and running. So in 2008, maybe 2007, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated was allowed to create a space, to take a space in one of the slave castles in Cape Coast and create something positive with that space. And so they opted to create a children's library. And before I became a Zeta, I was in Ghana and I saw, I saw the plaque and I saw what they were trying to do. And it was well intentioned, but I think back then we weren't really as, I don't know, socially conscious. So there had been a call that was put out saying, hey, donate books. So people gave what they had. Oftentimes that might be Little House on the Prairie or George Washington, the first president. Those things aren't really appropriate for African students, visiting an African landmark. So what we've been able to do now that, when you know better, you do better. And so what we did was we made sure that we came in this time and we took some culturally responsive, some ethnically relative books. And then we had like 5 computers that we were able to install in the slave castle. So this place that was, people, even to this day on this trip, people cried, they left in tears. They were just really, it's a powerful, powerful place. So to take something so negative and so hurtful and carve out a piece of it and make it into something positive and future forward, something that is beneficial to the next generation. Because even when I was there for the year of return, just random little groups of kids were taking field trips there. So having something there that is empowering, and I hope I can pull up one of these videos, the way the kids just devoured these books. I mean, they just dove into them like, and again, if a pencil is hard to come by, imagine how hard it is to have a book that's just mine that I can just hold in my hand. So those things, those are tools that are just powerful.
Well, is it got a question? I was going to ask this question right now, but somebody was thinking, with Sutek, thinking the same thing. How could we get our books in that library?
That's easy. Too easy. Now it is a children's library, so
you got plenty of children publications.
Okay.
Yes, we got Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland.
What?
That's a book that I created. It's about
Sean has one.
Yeah, but Sean has one too.
You got the what's called too.
And we got you got the workbook, and then we got the coloring book. We got the coloring book too.
Yeah.
And actually, the characters that I created are from Ghana. Those
this is a must. This is a must. This we have to. We gotta. Yeah. So it turns out the librarian there, she and I are really, really good friends. We've been working together. We're just kind of meeting up and. Yeah, I don't see how that would be a problem. This needs to happen. On Chavis's first trip, we're gonna pack our suitcases full of these.
Okay.
Get them in there.
So, clog the pipeline out there in Ghana. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Plug the streets.
These Ghanaian streets. These Accra streets. Yeah. That's too easy. That's doable. Definitely doable.
No doubt, no doubt. We sure would definitely appreciate it. We can make that happen. I'll get them to you as Sapado.
I got a few pics pulled up. If I could
share your screen.
Hit the button. Hit the share.
Yeah, hit the present. Yeah, all you got to do is hit the present button.
Okay.
And then it'll tell you to share screen.
Maybe okay.
What is it saying when you click
on a window?
Yeah, see, once you hit present.
If you got anything with sound, it's a box on there that you got to click to make you can have a sound playing from your screen. But outside of that, you just lock it to your screen.
Hit entire window though. Hit me entire screen. Don't hit the window, hit entire screen. And once you hit the entire screen, all you got to do is just click it. Once you click it, it's going to say share on your right-hand side.
Okay. All right. Whoa.
Hold on. I'm finna add it now.
Okay.
There you go.
I see windows and windows and windows. Okay. So do you see the...
Yeah, we see it. We see a screen.
So this is...
All right.
So this is one of the rooms in the library. Books. I mean, the kids they jumped in immediately, and
that's in the slave castle.
Yes, this is inside the slave castle. This is Oh, this is the coffee shop that I went to. That's the guy. He runs the machine, and he went and got some unroasted beans, and
What's that machine do?
they roast their coffee right there in the shop. They roast their own coffee.
He
So
look like my uncle. He look
I said that a lot when I was there. I saw many people. This is me, y'all. So I'm a drum aficionado. I'm a drum fanatic. I love some drum. I bought 2 drums while I was there this time. So I'm buying a drum at this shop, and the band is playing, and we rocking it out. They like, hey, come up on stage. And I'm like, what? Y'all not ready for this? They like, nah, come on. I got up on that thing. I did my thing. I was like, man, I may quit my job. I may This may be my new gig. I
Never
probably
know, man. Go out there and give it all to the people, man.
my new gig. Just found my new gig. This is a beautiful shot we took at the they call it Black Star Square. Look at the clouds in this pic, man. They almost made me want to get an iPhone. But that was our
What
group.
confirmed what Kofi was reading in the book, how beautiful it is.
Oh man, the
Was
clouds in the sky were just like,
they
oh
different?
yeah, yeah. This is some of the books we brought. Pencils. I mean, I had suitcases loaded down. We had LeBron James's book down there. I have just most of the Black authors that I could find. I shoved their books in my suitcase. This was my first time going to Elmina Slave Castle, and I saw this on the outside as I was leaving, and I thought,
The last
this
thing.
is really,
Thank
really.
you.
So what's been happening is typically slavery historically wasn't something that they just talked about. They kind of just didn't talk about it. They felt like it was painful to us, so they just didn't ever say anything. But when I at the Year of Return conference, I got to sit in on a young Ghanaian girl's panel, and she talked about it from a perspective that I had not ever really thought about. I thought about the fact that my ancestors were stolen. They were, the Middle Passage and the institution of slavery. But her perspective was there were people who woke up and their mom was gone. There were people whose dad went out to go get fish and never came back. There were mothers whose sons were playing in the field, and they never knew what happened to them. So yes, it's painful for us to think about what happened to our ancestors, but our ancestors are also their ancestors. And so they went through a different kind of pain where, a piece of your lineage is gone and you don't have an answer as to what happened. Um, so it made us really, really kind of rethink this conversation about slavery. This is the plaque the original plaque, I think that was for the dedication of the library in 2007. So yeah, it's outside, right at the entrance to this room in the slave castle, and it's a very big deal. Um, this is also my first time at the. There's this river where the enslaved persons would go before they got on the ship. They would give them a bath, kind of to get them prepared for the Middle Passage. And so this area is now kind of becoming touristy. And this is where, so they give you these beads when you get there and you just dip them in the water. And there's this kind of a prayer that's said over them. And it's an awesome ceremony. And it's just one more way that they are really tying into African Americans as we return to the culture and to each other. And this is the village where we
That's the village where they make them.
yeah, they make the cloth, and I can't think of the name of it because these kids. I was on the bus when I took this picture, and I mean, they're so curious, and they just want to talk, they want to touch you, they just want to. It's powerful, even, and then you see like the older kids kind of just hanging on the periphery. Everybody's curious, and it's not a bad thing. It's important that we do engage one another, even the little kids, especially. I feel like I think it's positive. I think anytime that we can get to explain who we are, this is the mural on the outside of that last bath kind of um, space. They have a huge. I didn't get all the pictures on the mural, but it was very graphic.
Just giving visuals of how that went down.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it makes me think of it from their perspective. Because once you find out about that this is, because that's the thing. There was this whole, again, at the Year of Return, there was this conversation that, oh, Africans sold Africans. And the concept of slavery prior to the transatlantic slave trade wasn't necessarily like this. Like you could assimilate into those cultures at some point. You would become a part of
Yes.
somebody's family.
I'm
And that,
glad you said that. I'm
yeah,
glad you said that because that was something that I would, when people would say that, I would ask them, you have to give context. You have to give proper
yes,
context. I always give context. You leave stuff out, that's you should put into it. And I always and we never sensationalize Africa. We give the good and we give the bad, right?
that's right. That's right.
So so I would always talk about, prior to them, because we do it today. We see this in real time. We fight with our family members all the time.
Yep.
So, so other, kinsmen fighting against other kinsmen,
Yeah.
they would fight with each other. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And some people, what we would call be prisoners of war will become prisoners of war, but
Yes.
these individuals will be able to roam free. These
Yes.
individuals will be able to, once they work their debt off, they able to go back and, go back to their people, or they able to acclimate into society. They able to marry people,
Yes.
within, the place that, they was defeated from. So
Right.
like I'm saying, we just have to give proper context and things that happened prior to the invasion, and why certain groups did certain things, because they used certain tactics. They turned certain people against each other. We seen they
Yeah.
use those same tactics on the plantation. There's
Yes.
an individual who's has a lot of talk on the internet right now, Charleston White, and some, I agree with some of the things he say. We had a whole show about him, but he talks about how he has a disdain for gang members. But he was saying that how he was using slavery as slavery was a great tool for us. We didn't kill each other in slavery. We did kill each other in slavery. We did kill each other on the plantation. The same tactics that they used, and when they entered the interior of Africa, they used those same tactics on the plantation to turn us against each other, to fight against each other. To tell on each other, so, or even when certain people escape, the tell, so we see those same tactics. So it's good to give though that context behind when we say African soul slavery. But slavery in general, I'm not making excuses for slavery at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
However it looks like, but just always give that proper context behind it.
Excellent.
Was you teaching in there?
That was me. Yeah, that was me.
That was it. That was it.
That was that village I told you about with the pencils and Marfokram. Huh?
They look red. They look eager to learn up at that, man.
So on the porch, that was them after school. After school, they would beat us to the house, and they would be like, "Man, we just spent a few hours with y'all. You got it. You good?" Like, "Nah, we want some more." Yeah. They were ready for the knowledge. These are the pics of that drum. The guy who sent the T-shirts. He this is that same coffee shop. This is one of the men that I was able to give the T-shirts to. It says "Art is the cure." And again, his merchandise, 100% organic, sustainable brand. And this coffee shop is just the most amazing spot. And when I say this coffee, and I love coffee. His coffee though this coffee was great. And one of the guys who sold me the second drum, that's him in the middle. He calls his X-Man. And I don't know why this man had a Texas State shirt on. Just random guy in Ghana. The youth industry is huge. They have a lot of people donate. The Purple Heart, I found out that if they get donations that are not in a condition that they can be sold, they donate to a lot of countries in Africa. So the used clothing industry over there is huge. It's ridiculous. Yeah, these are some other guys at the art market wearing some of his shirts. I mean, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. They were appreciative, just making connections. He required that I follow him on Instagram, though. That was one of the one of the conditions to him wearing the shirt.
Please, my sister, follow me on Instagram.
Greg James, my sister.
Please follow me on Instagram. While you going through the pictures, the murals, in that community that you was in. Who did that? Who put those murals up on the wall? I think that was dope, man.
Yeah, the art, they're so creative. These people are just the most resilient. I'm talking about will make something out of nothing. This is where they make the dye. I think this is the weaving place. This is the place where they have the weaving looms and all the guys kind of making the cloth.
Yeah, I know exactly the machine that you're talking
Yeah.
about. Like I said, I did a whole presentation on, even showed how they was actually making the clothes, man. And what about the dye? Did you ever see how
This
they
is
dyed
it.
some of the clothes?
This is the powder, and it comes from a specific tree in a certain, and not in this region. It's up near Kumasi. And these sticks they used as pestle and mortar. So he had each one of us take a turn. Like there would be two people, one on each side.
You grind
it. It was you'd have to beat the material inside the mortar until it became this fine powder. And he was like, it can take days. He was like, but the way we were doing it, he was like, nah, it's gonna take some months. I was like, yeah, that's some shade, man. That's some shade.
Y'all out there, y'all ain't getting that work yet like y'all. The weight room, man.
Yeah. He said it's gonna take some months, man, at this rate. But yeah, they were teaching us how they make the fabric. The mud cloth is my favorite. I got a really
yeah.
I want a coat made out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is pretty much. I'd say that's pretty much gone. These are the packs and packs of pencils we took. I mean, 3,400 pencils. And then they're gonna be. This is American Airlines. Their map, their route. Dakar, Monrovia, Liberia, Abidjan.
That's how they fly in. That's
Yeah.
They come in straight like that every time.
Yeah, or American. Yeah, that's their route.
American, that's the direct flight that you was talking about, or that's the one that
that's direct out of JFK.
Okay.
So is all of that included in that price of the $700? Now you saying they'll fly you? It's like a overlay, right?
There's no layover. It's direct.
Right, but I'm saying to get to New York, to get to New York, or you have to pay for a separate flight. That's another flight that you have to
get. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was about a little over 200 for the flight to JFK.
Okay, so roughly.
So that was a bow wow, almost.
We can call it that. We can go ahead and call it that.
But that's expected though. That sound about,
yeah, that's not bad. That's still not bad.
Right. So this is the mural at the there's a center near the Du Bois Museum called the African American Association of Ghana. And in that center, they have at the back of it, there's a wall, and it's an ancestral wall. And they have all these names of Francis. Let me see. I think those were the people who donated, because I think the Obamas are on this part. But the actual wall, I saw so many people, man, so many names. But of course, at the very end of the wall, they have like the newer names. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. So it's powerful. That connection, man. It's you can't. It's unbreakable. This tie. This connect to Africa.
That was gonna be one of the questions. I like how familiar they were with.
Oh yeah, they're watching, man. They are definitely watching. Nelson Mandela's name. I mean, the connection is just huge. Yeah. So that is it. I think my pictures from Ghana. One of your questions was about food, and I realized I didn't take any food pics on this thing, but I did have some from Kenya. I had this interesting breakfast. It's called millet, I think, and it's like a porridge, but it's thicker than it's not as thick as an oatmeal, but it's thicker than like a cream of wheat. So
it's interesting, like how you took your thing. That's one of the big staples.
What you mean?
The millet.
Oh yeah.
Here in the millet, that's something that they that's part of their They died.
Yeah.
It should have been normal to you. You know what I'm saying? That should have been, you should have down and felt like, you know what I'm saying? It was home. It was home.
It was hot. I know that. That sucker was hot. And you're drinking it out of this calabash. I think it was a calabash.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Hollow it
Calabash.
out and serve you food. And that was on a university campus. That was at the University of Kenyatta, right outside Nairobi. And then that's where I actually took my first drumming lessons at the Maasai Market in Nairobi. And that was probably my first drum that I purchased.
Mama got one of them at the house.
Yeah, I got hers from East Coast too. I bought it in Kenya. This is a cave. The Mau Mau hid in these caves behind the waterfall when they were, was it the British? I guess they were killing, they were putting it on them too. Mama, you would think you got spears and rocks and you taking on this is the cave, you couldn't even stand up in it. That's how, yeah.
Now, she ain't short now. Everybody, she's not short by any means.
But behind a waterfall, like they knew.
That's beautiful though, the waterfalls.
Yeah, the caves would be
reaffirming what Kofi had read. Rainfall, waterfalls, tropical, man.
So nice. I was working with the innovation station at Kenyatta University. Forgot what year that was. So that was some food that I had in Kenya. Ethiopia, can't remember what I.
So did you ever, when you was in West Africa, did you ever eat some fufu and some peanut butter soup and
peanut soup? Yeah,
jollof rice.
I only ate fufu. Jollof rice. There's a big controversy between Ghanaians and Nigerians about Nigerians. But Ghanaian jollof is you can't come close to it. I don't know. It's funny, the names of the beer. This was in Tanzania. Yeah, and the name of their national beer is Kilimanjaro.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I need to taste one of them joints, man. You see what it was like. What it was strong? How much alcohol?
Yeah, it is. And in Kenya, they have a beer called Tusker, and kind of like the Kenyan, the elephant tusk, and it's pretty good too. Each one of them, they all have a distinct. This is Charlotte Hill O'Neill. I met her in Tanzania. I actually took I may have shown you this one. I took it's about a 6-hour flight, five hours from Abu Dhabi to Dar es Salaam. Flew into Dar es Salaam, took an 11-hour bus ride from Dar to this village called Arusha. Arusha's right at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro. When I was in Egypt, me and my daughter met these Rastas from the West Coast, Bay Area. And they were telling us, hey, you guys got to go meet Pete and Charlotte Hill O'Neill. I did tell y'all this last time.
But you ain't had the pictures though like that.
Oh, okay. So Pete O'Neill is a Black Panther living in exile in Tanzania, right outside of Mount Kilimanjaro. He was accused of taking a shotgun across state lines, but there was a controversy because I didn't realize that there's a Kansas City, Missouri, and there's a Kansas City, Kansas. And so one of them had a law that changed about transporting firearms. Anyway, it was a silly offense, and they were killing Panthers once they got him in jail. So he came home to her. She was 19 and he was about 25. And he said, listen, they're trying to put me in jail. And before the sentencing, he said, I got to go. I'm leaving. And she was like, well, let me pack my bag. And so I was like, when you watch the documentary, they bring these kids from Chicago down to Tanzania and just get them out of the hood and give them these incredible experiences. She also, they call her Mama C. She has this music festival once a year. It's like she's so into hip hop. It's crazy. This lady's 70-some years old. And she is hip hop. Common typically comes to her music fest. But so my question to her when I got to sit down with her was like, how did your relationship survive? We don't make it past, he didn't take the garbage out, so we get a divorce. I mean, it's rough in these streets. So she was saying that there were 3 things. Number one, they had common interests. They were both Black Panthers. She has a huge panther tattooed on her left arm. On her right arm, she has a huge Jinyame. So they had something in common. They had their own interests because he does agriculture and she has this hip hop festival. And she said they were best friends. Those are the 3 things that let them make it through living in exile. I mean, it's not a lot of people. You can't tell somebody we leave in Studewood and we move in Acres home. And that could break up a whole relationship. But this man said, we finna flee the country and we never coming back. So they went to Cuba, then they went to Algeria, then they went to Ghana. That's where their oldest, I think their daughter was born in Ghana, and they went to Tanzania. And it's crazy because she said she was making a sandwich one day, and she was like, you know what would be really good on this sandwich? Some mustard. And this is like in the 70s, maybe mid to late 70s. And she couldn't find mustard anywhere in the country of Tanzania. So she wrote to her brother-in-law, who sent her a book because there was no internet, on how to grow mustard seeds. They grew mustard, ended up creating a mustard industry, got crazy rich. I'm talking about just broke the bank on mustard because she wanted a sandwich.
I feel like because I eat mustard, man. No mustard. Man, you got to be innovative out here, man. Bring that mustard to them, man.
They are incredible. While I was with her, Pete called, and he was like, just this lovey-dovey. He was in his late 70s, maybe mid to mid 70s, because she was still in her early 70s, maybe late 60s. And he was like, man, where you at? You've been gone all day. I miss you. I'm like, if I could get a dude 40 years later, and you still, wow, y'all the real deal. They were the real deal.
How did that feel for you? Because I don't know. I only know about Black Panthers and stuff. I knew about it. I don't know about it outside, but I knew about it first from you and my mama. So how did that feel to meet her?
Yeah, hearing her story, like Elaine Brown, it's crazy because I think that movie The Vanguard had just come out, and I was talking to her about Elaine Brown, and she was saying how, you know, when Elaine became president of the Black Panther, head of the party, they were on a downturn, and she felt some type of way because they really weren't consulted about their parts in it, and but she made sure that I understood she bore no ill will, she didn't have no animosity, no hate. Geronimo Pratt, he did like what 45 years, and then they found out that the FBI had tapes of him being in another city when the crime that he was convicted of was committed. So they knew for the whole 45 years that he did not do this thing, and they let him sit in jail. So he got this huge settlement. I think at the time he was married to Eldridge Cleaver's daughter, Eldridge and Kathleen Cleaver's daughter, but he ended up moving with them to Arusha, and he married this Tanzanian young lady, and he ended up dying. Like, he got this crazy settlement, and he died like a few years later. Just spent, I don't know if it was 45 years, it was a lot of time. And so just hearing the stories from her was the most and she was so down to earth, and she was telling me like, man, I feel like I've known you forever. And so when we were getting ready to part, she had her driver drop me back off at my hotel. And I was just thanking her for her time because she didn't know me from Adam. The way I got to meet her, the Rastas from the Bay Area told us to watch this documentary. So we watched this little 20-minute documentary by PBS on Pete O'Neill. At the end of it, the credits are rolling, and I'm thinking, man, I got to meet these people. We're so close to them. So I was like, oh, there's a number. Let me get it. I'm thinking it's their publicist or the production company or somebody. So I'm like, when I get there, I'm going to give them a call and see if there's a way to get in touch with them. Got to my hotel that night. It was late. It was like 9:00. And I'm like, let me just call the number. And she answers the phone. It was her phone number. And I could not believe it. I was like, ma'am, you don't know me from Adam. I just flew into the country on the hopes of trying to, she was like, because I was in Arusha. That was an 11-hour bus ride from Dar es Salaam to Arusha. And she was like, well, I'm about an hour and a half out. I'm like, dang, I done came a long way. I don't want to get on another taxi or nothing. She was like, but I'm going to be in town in the morning. Would you like to? And we met up at her favorite Ethiopian restaurant for spiced tea. And she was just so down to earth and so amazing. And I think this is a shot of the restaurant we were in. And I was like, here I am in Tanzania in an Ethiopian restaurant, but
eating with
yeah, Mama C.
Couldn't make that up right there, man.
Life has been just incredible. This is a picture of Lucy, what we call her Lucy in Ethiopia. She's Dinkanesh. These are the oldest human remains in the world. And I felt some type of way because we got to work on preservation. There's a lot of things that we can do better. But we need our talent from throughout the diaspora to come back home, because these bones are not going to be here within the next 20 years. They just open to the elements, a regular glass box. And I don't believe that the British are the only people, or the Americans are the only people who know how to, preserve things, because Egyptians been preserving stuff for ever. Yeah. So Ethiopia was another incredible spot. And the Rastas told us that. They said when you go to Ethiopia, it's like no other. They're the only African nation that was never colonized. So it's very, very different. It's a feel that you can't get anywhere else.
Yes, sir. I'll be talking about that in volume 4. I'm going in depth talking about why they didn't
5, Kofi.
colonize.
5. Kofi keep on saying 4. Yeah, 5.
5, yeah, 5, 5.
You say 5, yeah, 5. This is
Volume
us.
I got you. I'm gonna keep you on. No, they're 2 taking them now yet, so I'm on duty right now. So
Now you're not technically supposed to climb on the pyramids, but our tour guide for extra $20, they'll let you. Our tour guide was real accommodating, so we got to really experience the pyramids.
how big is that really? Like when you standing next, like how does it make you feel standing next to that? Like
Yeah, you're menace. This is one brick, one layer of brick, and that's me and Didi. One layer of brick, and when you think about our the Egyptian ancestors, just looking at this one, look at how this man's height is comparable to one brick, and this sucker goes up. I mean,
imagine how much that brick weighs alone, and they
yeah,
didn't have no cranes. They didn't have nothing. They ain't have no bulldozer,
yeah.
and we
They
still
had to
don't
have a
just
pulley
know.
system. They had to,
We have
because
an
there's
idea.
no way. They had to have a pulley system. But yeah, Egypt, Ethiopia, Tanzania, these places are just. And then going to Ethiopia and realizing that they're not on the Gregorian calendar. So we went in 2014, and when we landed, it was 2007. So you go back in time 7 years. And I was like, my mind, I was standing in the airport like, well, how old am I? Am I her mother? What? Like, what? He was like, man, calm down, calm down. But yeah, it's incredible when you go to these places and to be that powerful, to be like, yeah, we're not gonna use y'all calendar. We good. We know what time it is. And just do it. And the fact that they were never colonized makes me believe that they probably have it right. We might be wrong, but I think they probably got the right date.
You had a lot of people that draw from them going to war with the French. I talk about that too in the upcoming volume that we put out. When you look at um oh shoot, God, when I'm tired, I forget everybody's name.
I
Marcus
know you.
Garvey.
Yeah,
Marcus Garvey, drew inspiration from the Ethiopians fighting against the French. The red, black, and green colors that a lot of the African nations adopted. It came from there because when you look at their colors is red,
yeah,
red, black, and gold. Red, green, and gold.
yeah.
So they draw inspiration from that, and I don't know why we don't talk about Ethiopia a lot and what they did when
Agreed.
and how the my main thing is right now is unification.
Yeah,
Us unifying together, and I think we can also use that as a template as some of our great ancestors did over here, W.E.D. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, and et cetera, use that, to try to unify us, for one common goal, which was the agenda for the Pan-African movement and et cetera. But when you look at the people who, and I'll just give this, it wasn't just the elite people in that area who fought. It was the commoner who came together. It was the farmer who came together. It was everybody in that region who came together, whether they was small in the community or whether they was big in the community, came together to fight the French, what I'm saying, to keep their independency and keep them from coming in and raping it of the natural resources, because you got to know that the French was given Ethiopia when we talk about the Berlin Conference in 1884, and we talk about the scrambling or the carving up of Africa. So that these white European nations came together. They was fighting against each other, but they would say, "Hey, look, well, this guy called this meeting in Berlin, and they came together, and they began to carve up Africa and say, hey, man, hey, you take Ghana, you take Nigeria." you take Pacific parts of West Africa, we'll take parts of East Africa, we'll take parts of Central Africa, we'll take parts, this space over here, and the French was awarded some parts of Ethiopia, and they fought them, you know what I'm saying, and kept their independence and kept them from being colonized by the French who was trying to come in and take over. But I go in depth about the battle Ottawa, which that's what we talk about, the battle Ottawa against the French.
They had to fight. Like even Mussolini tried to come in. That's when Haile Selassie, that's when he really came into prominence. The Italians were worse. I feel like they were just as brutal. The Portuguese were probably the worst, but yeah, for them to beat Mussolini's army, that's powerful.
Yeah, man, it's a great story.
Yeah.
Yep. You got any more questions for your
Shay wanted to know what challenges present themselves when like teaching out there overseas or in Africa in general.
So for me, I guess you want to do everything. Like when I found out there was a private school up the street from the village where I work, and the yearly tuition was like $200. So then I'm rebudgeting, like, man, how many kids can I put in private school? Like you can't say that. Starting with the pencils was great, but you feel like it's so minuscule, their needs to us. You wanna save the world. You want to do everything, and it's hard, to know that you have some capacity, but you also got bills at home. So it's for me that was hard. Even just small things like I told you a story about giving the kids the candy and money to carry water, and you want to do these things, but you also don't want to like infuse this something for nothing, this instant gratification. There's a lot of concepts that we internalize in the West, and we don't even know that we do these things. So it's hard, that balance of it's kind of, so I was trying to do the research that I was working on while I was there was ethnography, and it makes you're supposed to be this insider, the outsider within. You're supposed to be there but not impact the
we did a whole presentation on you know what I'm saying,
ethnography.
Anthropology, you know what I'm saying, what you know what I'm saying. You talk about ethnography and whatnot, but elaborate, you know what I'm saying. Go ahead.
That's hard. For me, that was hard being there and wanting to fix everybody's problem and knowing that's not really why I'm there. I can do my little corner. That was tough. Other than that, I really didn't have, like I said, we lived in the village, but we would go into Accra, on the weekends or whatever. So you got your fix if you needed a mall or you needed modern amenities, or you were close enough to it. So that part wasn't really tough.
Yeah, because they got a lot of stuff that that's Americanized out there. If the American came there, they had certain amenities that they would have over here. Correct?
Yeah, oh yeah. We when we our first night, second night in Ghana this past time, they had rented out, the sorority rented out a Chance the Rapper had just left, and so they rented out a movie theater to screen Woman Queen. And so I'm like, this I might as well be back in America. But yeah, it was nothing for them to go to a movie or
yeah. That's
So Kyrie wanted to know if any lessons, what if any lessons you were able to extract from this particular trip.
Yeah, I get one every time. I get a big aha moment every single time. And I think for me this time, just where I am in life, working with the professor at the university, trying to get the Fulbright done, I think I'm ready to be bi-coastal. I think I need to kind of thinking about the book that Kofi just, the Moving to Ghana. I didn't have a blueprint when I moved to Abu Dhabi. I needed some money and they had it. And so I got on a plane and I went. But this time it's different. This is more for me. This is not to save the team or save the world. So I'm definitely going to invest in that book and really start formulating a plan, like a 10-year plan. I need to be, bi-continental. I need to have some property. I need to, that's my thing. It was a wake up moment. Like if I'm to retire, I'm going to be somewhere that's stress-free. Even a young lady, Girl Trek, just listening to her saying how she moved to a place that presumably had less and she is more at peace. Like that's a powerful concept. So my takeaway is I got about a few years to get a formulate a plan to at least have a vacation. And to be honest, I've been there about 4 times. I need a vacation home. I need to not be in hotels and Airbnbs every time I go. I need a home to go to when I get there. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Man, that's dope. That's something that I'm looking forward in the near future too. I don't know where it yet, but I definitely want to buy me some land out there. I definitely want to be bi-coastal. I actually was trying to formulate a plan in 2020 in Banjul, Gambia, and try to get my dual citizenship, or figure out, how they look like, as far as me getting that, because I wanted to come back because I had some ideals that I ran across the CEO of the Gaia Journal Skills Academy, Sister Fatu Nim, and I wanted to set up a business, and I kind of wanted to be bi-coastal, and that's something that I'm going to definitely do. I don't know if it's going to be Banjul, but I definitely want to be able to purchase me some land, and when I want to be able to get away, the family be able to get away, we able to take a trip and go out there and be comfortable. But my thing is that I'm scared of. Even when I go to Banjul in December, I got a big heart, and man, I'll give you my shirt off my back. I'm scared that I might give away everything and,
He gonna
and come
he
back
gonna
to
give you everything.
Kids college fund depleted.
yeah, and come back with nothing. I come back, I don't know what I'm gonna do to survive now because I done gave everything away, man. That's like my biggest gift and the curse. I'm always trying to help someone out, and sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing because people use people that has your good hearts, and sometimes I get used, and sometimes it be for the greater good, by me helping other people out, so I feel good helping other people. So that's what I'm afraid of when I go over there, man. Is I'm gonna give away everything.
On the curse code. Then another question was, what if any challenges presented themselves traveling this time or any other time, and what would you tell someone else to avoid those challenges if they happen for someone else?
So this was my first time traveling with a huge group. And because of the different dynamics, we had a lot of senior persons traveling. We had just different social classes. So some of the uh, participants required first class seating on the plane, which meant that they couldn't go out of JFK. They had to, I think they flew United out of, what's the other one in New York? There's JFK and then there's LaGuardia. Is it LaGuardia?
I don't know.
They had to fly out of the other one. And so it shifted kind of the plan when we got there. And then, there were people who needed a private room. I had a roommate. Again, this was my first time doing it in a large group. It was about 160 of us. So coming from having stayed in the bush for 3 months, it never dawned on me to have a private suite or first class seat. Those are just not things that so for me, it was kind of, I had to adjust my thinking and realize that my experience is not everybody's experience. What I require to be comfortable, to be happy, to do what I need to do is not what everybody needs to do. So it took a lot for me to just really step back and realize that, you don't want to put your morals and values and standards on anybody else. I don't know enough about their story to know. Maybe there's a reason they got to have a private suite. I don't, it's not my, it's not my business. So it took me a couple of days in this trip to really kind of get my mind right and realize that's them people's thing. I'm gonna let them do their thing, and I'm gonna do what I came here to do. So that was a struggle for me initially.
I don't know. I'm about. I think the only one I skipped was what were you able to do this time that you weren't able to do last time. But after that, I don't got no more. I don't think that's it.
That's it. Like I said, being a part of that reopening of that library was everything for me. It just really made the whole trip worthwhile. We had a little COVID outbreak towards the end. Thankfully, I didn't get in that, but the government really rolled out the red carpet. They had like 4 big old, really comfortable tour buses. They had a police escort. They had an ambulance that followed us around the entire time. It was the most awkward. And I was like, because initially they wouldn't tell us the hotels we were staying in because they were like, we want to keep a low profile. Well, if you got a police escort and an ambulance,
That's
everybody
not a profile.
you're not keeping a low profile. Yeah, they know you here.
You
So
hot. You really got the block hot. Now out there, man. So everybody like, man, we got the block hot. We got the balls out here, man. Last everything, man.
but it was crazy because the vendors would every time we would go somewhere, vendors would pop up like they knew we were coming, and they had very specific merchandise. Like they knew our sorority colors were blue and white. Some of them had the emblem, like they had carved it into the. They were ready for us. So I was like, we gotta spend money with me to put time in that. If you put that kind of effort, and you because you know I'm coming, I'm spending.
I'm gonna spend some money too, man.
I'm
We go out there, got some stuff, man, and some tap hands. I gotta spend some money with them, man.
Right.
Got to. That's by default.
How you not gonna spend money with them? Yeah.
Man,
That's
dope.
it.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot, in this interview, man. And I want to say that I just admire you. You're not one to just not talking, you know what I'm saying? You walking the walk, you know what I'm saying? And you doing some things that we doing a small thing on the scale. We doing something right now in the Banjul area, but we want to be able to continue to do stuff there, but we want to be able to do more, in other places that, you well traveled in different countries in Africa. You done build established relationship with people, and you're actually putting in the work and man, I know I do, and I know Travis do that. We appreciate that, and you were saying that I'm putting too much on it when I posted up we bigging you up too much. I mean when people are doing you need your flowers, and that's something that we don't do a lot for each other. We do a lot of stuff, and we especially when we do stuff where we don't put ourselves first, you know what I'm saying? We sacrifice a lot for others. You know what I'm saying? And we gloss over that, and I want to give you your flowers for that. And we always trying to knock people down, you know what I'm saying, that actually putting in the work. It's a lot of people out here talking, and that's it. They're just talking, but they just actually, what are you actually doing? What are you actually doing outside of, your own community, or what are you doing outside? And some of them are not even doing something in their own communities, you know what I'm saying, right up the block.
Yeah.
So, again, we just have to admire those who are actually talking and actually trying to do something, you know what I'm saying, to better other people's lives, you know what I'm saying, or trying to affect change. And that's something that we all should do. We're not going to be able to get where we need to be or get back to the greatness that we always talk about. We can, shoot off this, that, and the third. This group did this, that, and the third, blase and blase, but we're not going to be able to do what they did, you know what I'm saying, unless we get off, stop sitting on our hands, strategize and figure out a plan and get out here, man, and just do it like you doing. You getting out here and you're doing it, and you're not scared to get out here and doing it, and then stop, and you're not scared to say, well, hey, look, I'm not going to go get this $300 and $400 weed today. I'm not finna go get this $200 way. I can take this money and pay for a trip and go somewhere and take the rest of the money and put this money in and helping some children in this community, you know what I'm saying, or funding somebody to go to school, or doing what you're doing. We're going to give these books. We're going to give these pencils. We're going to pass out shirts. We're going to go in and use the resources that we got, and we're going to teach these students certain things, how to read, how to comprehend, you know what I'm saying, teaching them, you know what I'm saying, the tools and the lessons that they need to be able to survive, in the community or in the world, in general, man. So, again, I tip my hat off to you, and I appreciate you. And I'm going to always, whether you like it or not, I'm going to, give you your flowers. You know what I'm saying?
I'm do the same thing.
Right. I'm going to hype you up, because we need more people like that. We need more. We got to stop tearing each other down. And, when you see somebody out here trying to do something, just because you're not doing something, you shouldn't, tear that person down, or, talk down on them, or, try to sabotage what they got going on, or even just play what they're doing like they're little. You're doing something big. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
So we appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for coming on the platform. Like I said, I said this the last time we interviewed you, man. You more than welcome to come back on this platform. This platform is this is your home. You Chavis auntie, you know what I'm saying? This is Chavis home. So this is your home. You're like family to us. So anytime you want to come on here and do something, you can. And anytime that you got some stuff that's going on that we maybe can contribute, like, books, it don't necessarily have to be our books. It's whatever we could do, donations, pencils, clothing, or whatever it is that we can do, just reach out to Chavis and we're willing to work, because that's what we're about. This platform and this group is about affecting change. This is the reason why we created, the publishing company. You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why we put out books the way we put out books. This is the reason why we try to, buy books and then present information to people. As I learn, we all learn, because we understand people that may not have the resources that we have. We're going to take our resources and we're going to bring it to the people. We got people that's traveling in the group, and I'm going to be one next year that is, going to break that, where I'm going to start doing some more traveling, where, my first trip. And then after that, I'm going to start doing more trips and, connecting the dots with people and actually putting in more work. You know what I'm saying? Not only here, but which I'm already doing, but, I want to be able to be connected in our homeland and putting in work over there. As well. So again, man, we greatly appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that tuned in to watch, the duration of the show. We hope people that popped in and popped out come back and listen to the show, because, this show, like I said, I was able to learn something. I know the people in the chat was able to learn something. Again, it's about learning things and giving people, giving people their just due. So again, we appreciate you for coming in. For people that, that may want to reach you, how are they able to reach you? What are some of your social media handles, if you got any, or your email?
Velicia Moore. I'm that way. My coffee. I still have my Facebook page for my coffee shop, Ubuntu Coffee and Craft. That's still up.
Mm-hmm.
My email is ubuntucoffeeandcraft@gmail.com. So everything is about Ubuntu and coffee for me.
Okay.
But yeah, Facebook, Velicia Moore. That'd be the easiest way. Messenger.
Holla at me. I'll send I connect you. You know what I'm saying? I'm very well connected. Just hit me up and I'll plug you in. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you may need that she can offer you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get it to her. We messenger.
Yeah, we definitely are about
all the goddamn time, 24 hours a day.
Chavis, did I know your auntie when I came to Houston last year? Or this was after I met her?
I think it might have been after you met. You spoke with my mama, so
okay.
Every time she was around I don't know where she was at, but where we was at hooping, she wasn't too far away. I'm gonna take you right around the corner, but that park right there, I told y'all they get tricky right there. Y'all left. People they shot that park up, so I'm glad I did go to that park.
We coming back out there again. So when we definitely come out there again, we definitely gonna have to link up.
She got a new house, so we got to pull up to a new spot. You know what I'm saying? At the home, you know what I'm saying? Store, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all gotta come by. Definitely, let me host y'all.
I'm gonna take y'all everybody's house over here.
We coming back. We coming back. And and for the record, I'm not copying you, but I don't know if Chavis told you, I have a record, a production company called Ubuntu Music, and
that's good. We need that. We need that.
And through that, I also have a nonprofit organization that I'm just now getting started. I'm going through the paperwork now, because now the IRS, to be a nonprofit organization, because I done had a lot of nonprofit organizations. I would just call and tell them blase, and we do everything over the phone, and they give me a tax ID number over the phone, and then they send me the rest of the information through the mail. But they no longer doing that now. So you certain stuff that you got to go through in order to become a nonprofit organization for them to recognize you and give you a tax ID number. So I'm going through that right now, but that program is my Ubuntu music is to facilitate for youth, to teach them how to do music, to teach them music theory, how to write music, how to arrange music, how to record music, how to make beats, teach them how to mix, teaching them a tool to get them off of the street, because a lot of a lot of our kids are into the music, so why not draw them off of the streets into something where it's a full-on studio and whatever, because everybody can't sing, everybody can't rap. So if you can't rap, you can't sing. We're teaching you how to write songs. We're teaching you how to arrange songs. We're teaching you how to produce, so you can produce music. We're teaching you how to mix music, you know what I'm saying? So now you have all these different skill sets, and now you can be able to go out and be able to make some money on your own, by mixing, mastering, teaching people music theory or whatever you will. So that's a nonprofit organization that I have through my Ubuntu thing to try to help the youth out in my area. And I'm just excited about once I get all my paperwork together for that. But we fully LLC right now for the Ubuntu music
That's powerful
right now. So yeah. So
Yeah,
I just
be up in there. I'm putting them up in there. I'm gonna be in the background taking notes. Taking notes, you know what I'm saying, in the background, so I can learn something too. I used to like messing with Fruit Loops.
Yeah, we got you. We're gonna get you off of Fruit Loops though. We're gonna get you on Pro Tools.
I ain't never played with it. I mean, they used to always talk about it. I never had the opportunity to sit in front of it, but I know if I sit in front of that, I can pick it up too. But I want my kids in there.
Yeah, we got you.
All my kids to be in that.
Oh yeah, we got you. We got you, man. I got kids waiting right now.
That making fire.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Every time he makes something, I ain't heard nothing that I ain't like.
Yeah. Appreciate it. But all right, man. Well, we out of here, man. I want to say peace and Black African power, man. I want to say Biddy for Houdier, and I hope everybody, man, have a great day, man. And if you and go back and listen to this again, man, especially for those who wants to go to Ghana or been interested in going to Ghana, you're definitely going to learn some things. And anybody that's trying to travel to any country now, she gave you some game on, the essentials of what you need to get over there, how long the flight is, different places to to go, to patronize certain businesses over there, man. So again, we appreciate this, sister, man. Again, I'll say peace and Black African power. And I guess I'll leave y'all. I'm gonna leave y'all. This is my favorite artist right now. I interviewed Ibaka maybe a month or two ago, and everything that this brother has been putting out, man, is fire to me. It's a message behind it. He just put out a song. I wish I had it. I would play it. He put out a song called Mad Max, and it's a powerful story. It's a story. It was something that he was having a conversation about the street life with his son, and he turned it into a song, which is dope. And this brother is he's for the liberation of our people. He's a Pan-Africanist, he's an intellectual as well, he's a dope hip-hop artist, and his music has a message behind it, it has some great content, so it's no foolishness behind it. So I don't know what song. Well, every song I like of his. So I'll play Pain. I think that's the name of his song. I'll play Pain. So man, we'll end the show with one of Ibaka's song, man. So we out of here, man.
Thank you.
All right. Let me see. I'm messing up. I can win all off. Hold on. Let me go back to it. Pain.
JC, you cool for this one.
Some men chase glory. Some men chase fame. Some men chase stories. But I choose pain. I choose pain. In the midst of the rain. No tears but rain. Until broken chains, I choose pain. Until we're all free. I choose pain. Give me that. I want all that. Give me that pain. Yeah. I choose pain. Until liberation. I choose pain. The motherfucking laws got it in for me. That's life when you're trying to chase infamy. Fucking up kidneys off that Hennessy. Watch out for fake friends if they finicky. Some men act friendly, but they your enemies. Don't act like you don't know. Is you kidding me? That's what it is, to keep it plain and simple. It's that gangster talk, the epitome. Gangster talk, that's what I spit about. If you not by walking that walk, then get out. If you ain't laying down wood, then what that stick about? Hey, check it out. What that stick about? Some men move differently. That's right. But it's okay to sit out. That's okay. Ain't no glory in this shit. Ain't no time for no clit out. Facts. No clout. Some men chase glory. Some men chase fame. Chasing the fame. Some men chase stories. But I choose pain. I choose pain. Yeah. In the midst of the rain. No tears but rain. Until broken chains. I choose pain. Until we're all free. I choose pain. Give me that. I want all that. Give me that pain. Yeah. I choose pain. Until liberation. I choose pain. If it ain't race first, you can die slow. Yeah. And that's on the west side ride for. Because out west like 5-0. We don't chit chat with no 5-0. But we let it click clack like a 5-blow. Let the whole thing go. If a cracker gotta go. Ain't nothing better than a hunky turd ghost. This the life of a black man's back on the road. Ain't no more following the okie doke. No participating in shenanigans. The semantic pen is to negate the African Holocaust for Germanic sin. Hey, did you know? A black woman created a solution for a pathogen. She's African, but my people fail to realize they've been embedded by psychological antigens. Some men chase glory. Some men chase fame. Chasing the fame. Some men chase stories. But I choose pain. I choose pain. Yeah. In the midst of the rain. No tears but rain. Until broken chains. I choose pain. Until we're all free. I choose pain. Give me that. I want all that. Give me that pain. Yeah. I choose pain. Until liberation. I choose pain.